Good morning, guys. I believe a package just showed up at my front door, and I think I might know what it is. Let's go see. Sweet! I have been looking forward to this one. I'll show you guys what it is in a second. But check this out. The snow melted, so I can ride again. The tracks are looking prime. Alright, let's jump into this video. So here we are in the shop with the TTR. The first thing I'm going to do today is mount the plastics, seat, and gas tank back on the bike. Let's get started. The gas tank is up first. Got a little strap on the back here and 2 bolts on the front. Can't forget about the fuel line. Now I've got the seat to mount up. And then the side plates. Dude, this thing is actually starting to look somewhat complete again. Now comes the funnest part of all, mounting the tires. And that's where this package I just got in the mail comes into play. Let's open this thing up and see what we got inside. Got some paper. That's awesome. What could it be? You ready for it? It is a tire changing tool, and you know me, I love getting new tools and testing them out. The quality looks insane on these so far. Nice anodized finish. So what we have here is a Baja no pinch tire tool. Super creative design, and the fit and finish looks incredible. I am so stoked to go test this thing out. Let's go try it. So assembly of the tool seems to be pretty simple. Pretty much just mount the lever right in this hole here and put the Allen bolt back in. And they even provide some Allen wrenches here to tighten these Allens down. And then from there, this piece slides in. And this is how the tool works. Basically using a lever to push the bead of the tire over the edge of the rim. Guys, I've got some bad news. I just realized I'm missing some parts for these wheels, and that's gonna hold me up for mounting the tires for a few days. But in the meantime, there's still a few things I can do on this bike. First up, I can grease the steering stem bearings, and then the bike's at the point right now where I can start it up and see how she runs. Okay, to start pulling this front end apart, gotta pop off the front rotor plate, and then slide the forks out of the triple clamps. So the forks are off the bike, and once I have this top triple clamp off, I'll be able to access the bearings in here. Now I've just got these two nuts on top, and the bottom triple clamp will slide out of the frame. These bearings don't look too bad. The top one still got some grease on it, but the bottom one is running a little dry. Definitely gonna need a repack. Never hurts to clean up the bearing races too. Well, it's time to grease up the stem. It's funny, a few years ago this guy took it literally. So I bought a bike from him, and when I got it back home and took it apart, he gooped like a whole tub of grease on the stem itself. That was a nice surprise. To pack this lower bearing, I'm gonna brush grease on the bearing as I'm spinning it. And once grease starts coming out right here, this little gap, that means the bearing is pretty well packed. As I'm spinning the bearing, you can see there's grease coming out between these two pieces. So at this point, the bearing is pretty well greased, but it doesn't hurt to throw a nice top coat on. Now for this top bearing, it's pretty much the same deal. Just goop some grease on it and work it into the bearing. So it's gonna be a little easier if I put the top bearing in first before sliding the bottom triple clamp through. I'm gonna have to dab a little bit more grease on here. Now the reassembly begins. So for right now, I'm just gonna tighten these nuts by hand. And later on, once the front end is together, I'll set the steering head tension. Now I can slide this top triple clamp back on and reinstall the forks. On this top nut, I'm just gonna tighten it by hand as well. Now it's on to mount and back up these front brakes. And of course, the front number plate comes next. Okay, for setting the steering head tension, I will say there is no perfect amount of tension. A lot of it is personal preference. Some people prefer it more tight and others prefer a little looser. The guideline I go by is I like it just snug, but not tight to the point where the bearings come to a sudden stop. So right now I'll show you if I turn the bars or I push the front end to the right, they come back, they rebound a little bit, and or turn it to the left, it doesn't just come to a sudden stop. There is some movement in it, or there is some free motion in the bearings. So that is a little bit looser than what I prefer. I'm gonna tighten it up just a smidge and go from there. So for tightening and loosening the steering head nuts, I've got this spanner wrench, and this just fits right in here. Nice tool to have for sure. I'm gonna start out by going just a quarter turn on these nuts and see how that feels. Right about there. It's a little better. I think that's right about where I like it. And to top it off, I'm gonna tighten down this top triple clamp nut. Tightening down the nut pretty much secures these lower nuts from spinning at all. Gonna give the steering head one last test. Man, that feels really good. So prime. Are you guys ready to hear this thing run? I am, that's for sure. Pretty much just gotta add some fuel and give her a few kicks. Hopefully only one. Alright, gonna turn the fuel on and give her a little bit of choke. Let's see if she fires. It actually seems to be running pretty good. Idle's nice and smooth and isn't bogging at all. I'm pretty stoked. But it sounds hideous with no baffle. But thankfully I've got one on the way. Well, I got a few things accomplished today, so I'm pretty happy. But hopefully those parts show up soon and I can get this bike off the stand and back on the ground. I'll be checking in with you guys soon. Thanks for watching.